this is Dan Farisi, Group Editor, Commercial and Security with Emerald. So happy to be joined today by Samuel Recine, who is Vice President of Global Strategic Partnerships with Matrox Video. Topic of conversation is, of course, control rooms and mission critical spaces, aligning with CI plus SSI's Command and Control Deep Dive, which will be all over both CI and SSI's websites throughout the month of August, as well as in the August issue of CI plus SSI. Matrox Video is, of course, a partner with us in presenting this deep dive report, and we wanted to reach out to Samuel as an industry leader, as a true industry thought leader, to reflect on some of the trends that he is seeing in this category. Thank you so much, Samuel, for joining me. I really do appreciate it.
Nice to be with you, Dan. Thank you.
Always good to talk to you, sir. Why don't we start with some of the biggest integration challenges that you see facing control room operators and systems integrators today? What are some of those challenges that you have your eye on?
Probably the challenges are the same as they've always been. Using everything that can help enhance decision-making capabilities in control rooms means, leveraging the latest in various categories of technology. Sometimes that means cloud capabilities or automation or software as a service or new visualization technologies such as headsets and AR and VR or new topics in cybersecurity or so many different things. I would say that mixing equipment and technologies of disparate asset classes has always been the challenge and remains the biggest challenge today.
When you talk about mixing technologies, that kind of perfectly leads to my next question, which is how teams can avoid creating isolated IP systems or IP islands in a world when there are so many different vendors, so many different media formats in play. Are there ways to avoid creating those IP islands that I think a lot of people do not want? They want interoperability, they want a more fully engaged system.
It's probably a balancing act. Some islands may be necessary because something is done really well and helps enhance the mission of a control room. But you want to avoid them if you can avoid them because from a standpoint of interoperability and longevity, ability to support and keep evolving a system, if you have the option to achieve all of your design goals without being um, put into a silo of some type, that's always beneficial. So, when I was referring to mixing asset classes, you could take simple examples of how we've always done that. In the past, we were mixing computer content with camera content. We were, sometimes using video switchers to deal with the fact that we had more sources than we had the ability to simultaneously show operators. All of those different things like extension technologies, media processing technologies, switching technologies, etc. Sometimes they were based on, broadcast video environments. Sometimes they were based on, AV signal management infrastructure. When the content was generated from computers like GPU data or PC data versus when it came from cameras, the need to manipulate the content so that it could be used intelligibly by control room operators. We always use conversions of some type, stats, avoiding silos meant, converting if and when necessary, and the flexibility to do so was always there. Like we could convert an analog signal into a digital signal with a mini converter, or we can go from one digital signal to another digital signal, like HDMI to DisplayPort, or we could, do a synchronized environment, non-synchronized environment adaptation if necessary. Bringing an asynchronous source into a synchronized environment, is possible. There were converters and widgets that would allow us to take an HDMI signal and put it into a synchronized SDI environment with a house sync. So depending on the type of control room, depending on the type of visual information, if it was lots of cameras or lots of sensor information exposed in a computer-based sort of graphical interface, we've always had to sort of, mix video and graphics and other types of stuff. Today, that is still true. It's just that what we're converting is different. Now there's new signals to convert. We have a little bit of NDI, a little bit of Dante for audio, a little bit of there's several AV over IP solutions from the AV world that are corporate brands, and it sort of works within a brand. And all of these different things, we can still use all of them. We just have to figure out, which IP to IP conversion tools are available for that modern job. But it is still possible to get all of the signals that we need into control rooms. We're just dealing with new signal types to manage together.
So speaking of the modern job, that makes me think of not just the present, but also the future. I'm curious how open standards like IPMX are playing a role in making systems future ready. Matrox Video has done a fantastic job in terms of being an expositor of IPMX and the benefits of open standards. What is the tie-in between that and future ready systems?
Well, we're in control rooms as a provider of technology. We were a victim of all of these explosions of different things. Broadcast type equipment was adopting SMPTE 2110 and NDI. AV equipment was adopting Dante for audio and various different protocols for video. PC technology, which is prevalent in control rooms, continues to use compressed media formats like H.264 and HEVC, but with different protocols than the first two categories I just mentioned. So we were seeing our R&D balloon into a lot of different things that we had to manage together in control rooms and other markets. And we saw the emergence of 2110 as a promising thing to keep working on. In broadcast and in the live event space, and Pro AV 2110 was able to restore a little bit of inter-brand and inter-product type equipment compatibility. And then the work continued. So 2110 was further enhanced by the Video Services Forum with TR10, these specifications collectively known as IPMX. So we found it very encouraging to orient some of our R&D towards those open standards-based things, because we hope what it means is that it'll be easier to connect different asset types from different providers to put onto systems the way the users want for their workflows. We have to deal with all manner of things that users want to incorporate into their control room, and these standardization discussions help.
So, speaking of standardization discussions and making sure that people can integrate what they want into their control rooms, I'm curious how Matrox Video, from your point of view, help operators modernize their control rooms without starting all the way from scratch, not having to do a total rip and replace, a complete system replacement, but rather modernizing an existing space. How is Matrox Video enabling that or helping that happen?
I think we can illustrate that through a simple example. We have many product categories. We have KVM products, video wall products, encoders for live streaming and recording, IP to IP converter gateways. If we take the KVM example, it's possible to achieve the KVM functionality of sending all of a PC's content from one place to another over IP-based network. All of the same performance levels and features and cybersecurity elements can be achieved as proprietary solutions, but by using IPMX with the interoperable USB specification, the interoperable HDCP key exchange mechanism, the interoperable privacy encryption mechanism for multicast systems, all of these elements allow the possibility that if on a receiver station of a KVM system, you want to, mix other equipment, be able to see sources from uh, cameras or encoders or other equipment that is using the same standards, that possibility is there. So it removes the need for users to grapple with those conversions, and build unnecessarily complex systems, unnecessarily expensive systems. So it's really just a tool, to remove inflexibilities sometimes, and it's not always gonna, be available as a tool to remove inflexibilities when there are some things that are justifiably not compatible. Sometimes you have to make things work in a way that doesn't permit this type of equipment interoperability. But when you can, it's very interesting. And so a KVM product that can support that type of connecting to other things versus one that cannot, there's a difference there. There's a benefit to those types of equipment that can do that. And it's the same for all of those categories that I mentioned: video wall controllers that can, touch equipment that uses those standards. There are some displays, for example, that natively support now 2110 and IPMX. All of the LED walls are adopting this. There's many image magnification technologies like projectors and commercial displays that are adopting those standards. So it makes it possible to remove an HDMI cable between a video wall controller and a screen. You could just have an IP cable directly to the display. And what is the meaning of removing that HDMI cable? Why is that a benefit? Well, if that cable is defective or unplugged, you don't have any diagnostic information in that type of cable. But if your devices are connected through IP, your endpoints have monitorability over the network, and control room operators can be supported from an IT help desk remotely. And anytime you can remove any of those invisible connection points that IT can't help with, that has a big impact on uptime in a mission critical environment. So I think that these standards are a very valuable tool when it's possible to use them.
Well, if there's one thing that I've learned from studying the command and control market and creating this deep dive report, it is that it's all about operator enablement, making sure they have what they need to do their jobs well, removing friction, removing inefficiencies. And it seems like you're speaking exactly to that. So thank you so much, Samuel, for joining me today. A really informative conversation from a true industry leader in Matrox video. Again, thank you for taking the time and thank you for being part of this deep dive report.
Thank you so much, Dan. Always
A
pleasure to speak with you.
pleasure to have been joined by Samuel Recine, who is Vice President of Global Strategic Partnerships with Matrox Video. My name is Dan Farisi, Group Editor, Commercial and Security with Emerald. You can find Matrox's contribution in the August issue in our Command and Control Deep Dive. That deep dive report will also be all over the commercialintegrator.com and securitysales.com websites throughout the month of August. Please do check in on both of those sites for all your latest mission critical and command and control related content all throughout the month. Once again, Samuel, thank you for joining me, and we look forward to seeing you back here very soon.